Good afternoon to you. Well, there's been an important ceremony in the last 24 hours around the Kusile Power Station. Unit 4 at Kusile has now been formally handed over to Eskom Generation Division. In other words, this means the construction of the unit is formally finished, the testing is formally finished, and it's now under the control of Eskom. It's due to produce around 800 megawatts of electricity. The Eskom spokesperson, there we go, is Sikonathi Mantshantsha. Sikonathi, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. This unit has already been generating some power. It has been adding to the grid. It's 800 megawatts. How significant is this formal move?
The significance is that it really marks this handover marks the point at which two-thirds of the power station have now been completed. That's the construction, and work has to concentrate on the last two units, where the last of which will be due during May 2024. So two-thirds of Kusile Power Station are online, and they're generating 800 megawatts times 4, which is the additional capacity in total that's coming from that particular plant.
So is this unit now producing power continually, 24 hours a day? Unit 4 is giving power to the grid?
That's absolutely correct. It is producing close to the maximum 720 megawatts that it can produce. During the past 5 months, it's been producing. It went all the way up to 720, and now all the tests are completed successfully to show that the unit is now ready to be formally part of the generation fleet of Eskom. And yes, it is contributing that amount of power.
How long is the testing process? I presume it takes quite a long time to make sure that everything's actually working properly.
The testing process was initially scheduled for 6 months. The unit was meant to be handed over formally if everything went according to plan during July this year. But we have managed to beat that deadline by a month. So over the past five months, that's how the testing has been working. It was conducted on the 23rd of December 2021, where it would give you anything from 1 megawatt all the way up to 720, and they would identify some faults and things that needed to be fixed, which is part of the optimization process. And now the team is satisfied that the unit has passed the muster, and it can formally be part of the fleet of power stations.
So it is, if I'm correct, a coal-fired power station. There is a move to try and make sure that we limit pollution as much as possible. It's got some pretty fancy technology to do that, right? Something on the chimney stacks. I can't even pronounce it properly.
It's the flue gas desulfurization, which really its job is to suck out the sulfur from the smoke and make for a cleaner environment. Stephen, I must say that over the past 3 months, the major problems we have had from the other 3 units at Kusile that have already been working came from the FGD, as we call it, and we have had quite a lot of unreliability, which now has actually been restored. This includes for Unit 4, and we are happy to say we are getting some 2,800 megawatts of power from that power station.
I mean, look, every watt matters, and I imagine a lot of people somewhere are breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief. Still quite a long time before we get more power to the grid, though, isn't it?
It is quite a long time. The remaining 2 units, as I said earlier, the last one is planned to be commercialized or to be formally part of the fleet during May 2024. And of course, everybody in South Africa knows that this particular building project has been severely delayed by a number of years. But we are now at a point where we can say Eskom's team is doing what it can to prevent any further delays. In fact, my colleagues do promise that they will beat that deadline of May 2024 to make sure that both the remaining units are now part of the fleet.
And the grid at the moment, Sikonathi, I mean, I have to ask, we've seen pretty consistent load shedding in the evenings. I think some people have sort of got used to that. I imagine a lot of businesses around the country probably prefer that approach to what was happening earlier. You didn't have load shedding last night, didn't have it on Sunday night. Obviously, it's getting colder. I live in Gauteng, so I can tell you it's getting colder. I know you do too. I'm presuming that we are going to have more load shedding to come, unfortunately.
Stephen, at this point, I like what you said earlier. You said for now. So for now, we do not have a load shedding planned for tonight. and indeed for the rest of the week. That, of course, is subject to any major breakdowns. We are comfortable. We are able to supply 32,000 megawatts of capacity without load shedding during these next few days and the days that you have mentioned. Of course, that changes when we have any breakdowns that really mean that we do not have sufficient power. At this point, we do not have that problem. That, I repeat again, can change any time, of course.
I've reported for a long time on Eskom. I know you did too before you came into your current job. And the thing that I still cannot get my head around is that even now we are seeing consistent reporting of sabotage at Eskom. I know that you've got CCTV cameras literally everywhere. You can put a CCTV camera. I've seen the reporting about the security that you've put in place. But I still don't, I mean, I want to bang my head on the table. I still don't understand why someone wants to sabotage Eskom at this particular moment.
Stephen, there are very deep and vested interests inside that actually benefit from the situation that Eskom is in, which in turn puts the whole country in. There are very deep and vested interests. Eskom has, during these past few weeks and months, told the people of South Africa that we will be uncovering scams left, right, and center, including those we have mentioned, where 100 million rands worth of oil at the Tutuka Power Station alone has been stolen, or was being stolen when Eskom discovered this. Let's repeat that. That's 100 million rands worth of oil per month at one power station that was discovered by the new management there. In that same power station, you had 1.3 billion rand of spares that Eskom had paid for, but could not be accounted for. No one knew where they were. So there are many other scams. The sabotage is also part of that. There are obviously people that benefit from the situation that the country finds itself in. And cameras alone and increasing security, putting security guards there and employing even more technology on its own will not have any much effect on the crime situation inside Eskom and throughout the country. Because frankly, in the case of Eskom, all the crimes that Eskom have reported to the police, more than 100 of them, we have really not seen any arrests. We have not seen any prosecution. And so there are no consequences for these kinds of crime. Yes, people will be, in the event that anyone gets caught, they can be dealt with within their employment relations, within the employment situation. But the real big deal is what happens to the criminal cases that Eskom reports, what the people of South Africa certainly report in various other aspects of life.
That's astonishing. So, I mean, we see sabotage that can literally bring the country to its knees, switch the lights off. Now, the police, from what you say, the criminal justice system aren't taking action.
What I am saying is Eskom has reported all of these crimes, including those that I have mentioned for example, since 2021 at Tutuka Power Station, we have reported no less than 5 incidents of sabotage, and we have not seen any arrests there. During the state capture years and all the cases, I have previously told you that Eskom has reported 110 cases of crime. That includes fraud and corruption and money laundering with the police. We have not seen any arrests. We have not seen any prosecutions, and that goes for these sabotage incidents that we have been establishing and reporting in other power stations. What is lacking are arrests and evidence, or rather prosecution. Eskom is doing everything that it can, and it helps the police with its own forensic investigations. Its teams are readily available, but what we do not see are arrests being made, and we do not see prosecutions. That then tells you that, or tells the criminals, that there's very little to be afraid of.
Sikonathi Mantshantsha, thank you very much indeed. Spokesperson for Eskom. Most incredible stories that are coming out of Eskom at the moment, if you look at what's been happening with the alleged incidents of sabotage there.